Hello, everyone. Welcome to Chelsea Perspective. Today, we're going to preview the match between Manchester City and Chelsea Football Club. The rehearsal before the big day, which is the final of the UEFA Champions League. And today, I have a great mind, somebody who knows the club very well. He knows the game very well. And I am very happy that he's found the time to grace my invitation to come do this match preview for you guys, and I believe it's going to be very interesting. Mikael, thank you very much for finding time to grace the invitation. I sincerely do appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure, Coachella.
Welcome. You're always welcome. Most people say that the game tomorrow is more like a dress rehearsal for the big one, which is the UEFA Champions League Final, and I doubt that because the truth is both managers wouldn't want you to get even the slightest of glimpses of what they have in store for that final, for the finals, because that's why I'm thinking most people are going to, at the end of the day, will be disappointed. So what do you think? Are you looking forward to the game, or you have high hopes you're going to win or something?
That's a fantastic way to pose the question there. Expectations versus, what we might see tomorrow. It's an important game in many ways, and it's also purposely going to be treated as not an important game by both managers because none of the two managers want to show their hand too early. So while it is important to both teams for different reasons, Man City could seal their title victory if they get 3 points tomorrow. Chelsea need to push forward into the run to secure top four, especially with Leicester slipping up today versus Newcastle. This is our chance to, if we can get 3 points, we actually leapfrog Leicester into third. So if I know Tuchel will look at tomorrow and absolutely go for the 3 points. There is an argument, though, that because we have a Champions League final coming up, he doesn't want to show his hand either. So while he does want 3 points, does he want to show all his tactics? And that's where rotation will come into play, and he might, use the same tactics, but just not with his top lineup necessarily. He might give some players, some fringe players, some starting lineup game time. But it's shaping up to be an interesting game. I could see it being a cagey draw as well because of these all these considerations. But you know what, the Chelsea, the Blues fan in me wants to see 3 points tomorrow.
Yeah, I get you. But everybody wants to see us win. If there's that possibility, it's not a bad thing to win them. Let's say, is it 3 times in the season? That is, if we win tomorrow and also win the UEFA Champions League finals against them, then it's 3 times, right? It's not a bad thing, but then again, back of our minds that, like you said, they wouldn't want to show their hands too much. They wouldn't want each other to get the slightest glimpse of how they are going to approach approach the final, which is natural, But the good thing about the game against tomorrow is that no matter that is the personnel that each team plays, it's going to be a good game because they have a very big squad, both teams. Whoever starts is a good player. So, at the end, it will still be an open game, no matter what happens, But let me ask you this, Mikael. Do you think the outcome of the match tomorrow will be, let's say, a reflection of what will happen in the UEFA Champions League final?
So, finals tend to be one-off occasions. The build-up, the adrenaline, the hype, the occasion, it just adds a whole different level of intensity to everything, not just the setting, but the emotions of the players, the preparation, the mindset. So while it's easy to say that yes, it will be a showcase, a dress rehearsal, I also tend to think that no, it will not be necessarily because firstly, it's not like they're happening within a few days of each other. It's going to be a few weeks down, 3 weeks down. So a lot can happen between now and then. Yes, at some level, we will get a chance to measure up against our opponents for the Champions League final tomorrow, and at some level we are going to be tested by them similarly. But it's a bit early to say that this is going to be exactly how we will line up tactically or in terms of our starting players. It's a bit early. I think tomorrow will be an exciting game, and from a tactical point of view, for these reasons, that we're probably not going to show our best cards, but it's still both teams still want a result. Both teams still want a result. Now, it would be fascinating to see if one team shows up with their strongest lineup tomorrow, because that would throw all of this talk out the window. Whether it's Chelsea or Man City, if suddenly we see the best lineup possible, you know that that one side is not taking any prisoners. So then it'll become really an interesting game. But somehow I don't see it happening because of injuries and fatigue and the fact that we have a game every 3 days these days. I tend to think that the managers will try to rest some players tomorrow.
Yeah, most definitely, because it's not easy to, most especially Chelsea. We have an FA Cup final coming up in a few days, right? Even before the final. So I think, yeah, Tuchel would want to, I think, to rest some players. I mean, he doesn't have an option. It's something that he has to do. Okay, I wanted to ask you another question. There's this belief that when you lose against a team, like when you see them next, you want revenge. I think I've heard somebody say, he'd prefer Chelsea losing this game and then going into the UEFA Champions League final with the mindset that, okay, we need to revenge. We've lost to them in the league. Now it's our time to beat them. The argument doesn't make sense to me. Even I can't even explain it the way the person said it. What do you think about that thinking that, okay, I'll take us losing tomorrow and then winning the final? Because if you look at it, if you lose tomorrow, then the other team has a psychological advantage on you going into the final. So it's an argument that doesn't.
Sorry, you cut out there.
Yeah, I said it's an argument that doesn't make sense. So I want to know, what do you think about that argument? That it's better we lose tomorrow and then beat them in the final. Whereas if we lose tomorrow, then they will have a psychological advantage on us going into the final.
Listen. If I'd buy that if this were a different time in the season. If this was November, October, I would have bought that kind of an argument. Right now, this is the tail end of the season. There's not a lot of games left. There's not a lot of points left on the table. So for me, as much as it's important to conserve our energies as a team and our conditioning, I think it's also very important to go in for those 3 points tomorrow. I think there's an argument that we need them more than they do. So I want to see us go out there with a positive mindset of trying to win this game, even if it's with a second string lineup, quote unquote. No disrespect to any players. I think all our players are equally magnificent. It's just a matter of who's getting more of a run of games lately and who isn't, and maybe this is an opportunity to place some of the names that have been patient so far on the sideline. It's an opportunity for them to, if anything else, make a case that, you know what, there's a lot of these big final games coming up. Maybe some of these players need to make a stake for starting positions for those games. So if they are given an opportunity tomorrow, I want to see them stepping up and making an impact and showing the manager, giving the managers, like they say, a selection headache going forward, as opposed to becoming an easy option that, oh, you know what, we tried it, it didn't work, and now we're back to type. So it's for me, we want 3 points tomorrow. So for me, despite all the framing and setting of this game, at the end of the day, think of this game as we're not playing Man City, we're just playing somebody else in the Premier League, and we want these 3 points more than they need it.
So just approach the game without thinking about the UEFA Champions.
I almost as we're talking about it, coming to that understanding myself that, you know, this is the right frame of mind to approach this game as. This is not about Man
Just
City.
as
This is
yeah.
about Chelsea and 3 points on the
I
table.
think it makes good sense. And so you're saying that the outcome of the game tomorrow will have no impact or will not influence the players' mindset going into the finals.
See, we've already beaten them once. So as much as yes, if Man City were to beat us tomorrow, it would have some sort of psychological impact. Whether and then it's up to us to on how we respond to it. Do we actually use that as fuel to go beat them in the final, or conversely we win tomorrow and then we are like, oh yeah, we've beaten them twice already. Final's going to be easy, and that's a trap maybe, right? And that's maybe playing into their hands. So I think that it'll work both ways. But at this point, we've beaten them once already. And you know what? If we did it once, why can't we do it twice and twice? Right? It's
Yeah,
just a matter of
definitely.
showing the same amount of intensity. I think that this is the interesting point. The way Tuchel set up our team, we don't let the opposition play. And if we're running to our rhythm, playing as a compact group, passing like the metronome that we have going when we're on rhythm, the other team doesn't get many chances to score. And we saw this in so many recent games versus big teams where there were hardly 2 or 3 chances in the whole match for them to even get a shot on target, much less get a goal. So for me, the physics of the tactics are still the same. That if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, Man City should not be getting a lot of chances. Now, I respect them as a team, and I know that whenever in their possession and in their phases of momentum, they will test us. They will test our backline. They will test our goalies. But what I'm trying to say is that if we're doing our jobs tactically, as in terms of, I'm I'm confident that we can get a result tomorrow. 100%, we can get a result tomorrow, and I'm not putting any conditions on who to start to achieve that.
Yes, I am confident too. However, I'm just considering, who how smart Pep Guardiola can be, and he hardly loses to it to a state that I'm not sure if he has in the Premier League. I'm not sure, but that's irrelevant at the moment. But we know how smart he can be, and they probably have taken his time to study our team even before we eliminated Real Madrid. Ability that Madrid will not come back from that draw in Spain. So, how difficult do you think? Not even. I'm not really concerned about the game tomorrow because, like we've established that both managers wouldn't want you to get the slightest idea on how they will approach the game in Istanbul if it is played there, if it isn't moved. So my question is, how difficult do you think it will be, given that Pep he's had the time to like study how we play, and that would be, let me say, even more motivation for him to have talked about that loss against us and see that they didn't have the chance to play the way they used to play. So given that he's had the time to study how we play, that is if he can, because I believe we're unpredictable right now. How difficult do you think the game will be? Because you can say Pep isn't really flexible in terms of tactics. They are very predictable. Their style of play, it is always cross it, don't be too selfish, team play always. How difficult do you think that game is going to be? I mean, the final in particular. Tomorrow, I don't think we'll see everything. Like we've established, tomorrow will not give us a true reflection of what the final will be like.
If you think back to the recent FA Cup match, I think Pep took it easy against us. He didn't start his strongest lineup. There were 1 or 2 omissions from the starting lineup that if he were trying to absolutely win the game, and it was the only game of only tournament his team were in, he would probably have played a slightly different lineup. Um, I'm questioning now is that would he actually start a stronger lineup tomorrow? And I'm already, in light of what you just said again, thinking that he will not start his best lineup again because he doesn't want to show that hand. Because what
Yes.
happens is that if he shows that hand, and let's say they get a result tomorrow, Now he's given all the footage, video footage, for Tuchel to go study it for the next 3 weeks and figure out how he's going to break it down. And I think that between the two of them, they both realize that they have that capability. So while Pep has the capability to analyze the last game and try to do better, I think he also has the lineup to do better. So he'll probably just be thinking, I'll start Gundogan and I'll start, I don't know, I won't start Sterling, I'll start somebody else, Foden or whoever it is. It might be, a more the team might have more impact. It still comes back to the same thing, that if we're playing our system, how many chances are we giving them to do it? Now, I'm under no delusion that we will have more possession necessarily than Man City, but I do feel that we will fight for it. It'll be close to a 50-50 in terms of possession in my mind. We could just sit back and try to absorb all their pressure. In which case, yes, that's a different story. I just don't think that's our best showing. I think Tuchel himself has said multiple times that the best defense is a good offense. So I think that's where his defense begins. He doesn't go approach matches as, oh, we're going to be a deep block and we're just going to absorb all the pressure and try to break. Even when we set up to break, most of our pressing is still being done around the halfway line. We're not trying to absorb it back to our box or thereabouts.
We don't defend deeply, yeah.
Yeah, we're still trying to get possession higher up the pitch. So I think short of playing something completely out of left field like a back four, just to kind of completely make the game absolutely pointless in terms of tactics and studying tactics, I think it'll still be some sort of template for the final. I just don't think that the players we start in the final necessarily will be the same. I think tomorrow is a good opportunity to give a starting berth to Callum Hudson-Odoi, maybe to Tammy, definitely for Hakim Ziyech. In midfield, I don't know if we want to expose Gilmore against Man City, but then I also question the fitness of Kante and Jorginho having come off a really intense game. I want to see us rotate some players. Some of these players need a rest. But is tomorrow the game to do it in light of what Leicester has done today? They've dropped points. They've lost. They're sitting 2 points ahead of us. We have the opportunity to make a strong showing tomorrow and grab 3 points and move. Pass them in the table. Let them fight the chasing pack instead of us constantly being exposed to the chasing pack. So for me, we can let the Man City rationale impact how we approach this game, but at the end of the day, the fact remains: there's 3 points on the table tomorrow. Let's try to go get it. I'm not saying we underperform, but I'm saying let's rotate and still make it a point. It's like in hockey. You follow hockey probably. You guys have a good team. Actually, you guys have a good team nowadays. In hockey, you rotate the lines. There's a line of 3 players, whether it's offense or defense. So you take one whole line out and you put another whole line in. So it's almost like I'm waiting tomorrow to see a whole new line at the front, a front 3 that's different from the front 3 we use. Usually we tinker with our front 3, but it's always 1 or 2 players. It's never the whole line. So it's almost, if we're going to do something crazy, I'm thinking something along that line, that let's start a different line completely, a line that we don't see usually. Whether it's, what does that mean? That could mean that we start with Callum Hudson and Tammy and Ziyech. That could mean that we play a 3-5-2 and just play 2 of those players, whoever 2 you want to pick from that, depending on how Tuchel feels about giving Tammy game time. Because if Tammy is leaving, maybe he's not vested in giving Tammy game time at all. I hope that's not the case, and I hope that he's still in the running. It's just a matter of finding the opportunity to take a chance with Tammy to prove himself again, because he did try him a couple of games. He was not impressed. Obviously, he took him off at halftime both times. Not that Tammy was doing anything wrong, but he wasn't making an impact. And I think
he's given him. I've heard that argument a lot, that he doesn't rate Tammy and so on and so forth. He's given him the opportunity to show what he can do. and he didn't perform. At one time, was it the game against Burnley? He got injured. So people that argue that he doesn't rate him, they don't consider those factors. They don't consider that he's had an injury, and also he's gotten the opportunity to perform really, and yes, he's highest goal scorer at the moment, but he hasn't done much under Tuchel. Though, the system has changed and he hasn't adapted. He hasn't adapted at all. So, yeah, I get your point. So I was, again, another question that you haven't addressed that I want you to address. How difficult do you think the final will be? Yes, given that Pep now, probably some would say his figure very unpredictable at this point. Even though the system every now and then looks some in games looked as if it's been 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 or something like that, but there are some tweaks towards that is the attack area that he makes that people don't pay attention to. I remember how we played against Spurs. It was a different. It was still three at the back, but nothing altogether. So we are unpredictable. That's my point. But my question is, how difficult do you think the final will be?
So here's the thing. That's an interesting question. If you think about Tuchel coming in toward the end of January, most teams, actually all teams in the Premier League, had already played us once this season. Yes. under Lampard. So Tuchel's been basically a surprise to every team we've played since Tuchel's joined Chelsea, because nobody's faced Tuchel before in the league, and Tuchel's Chelsea before. So that's an interesting point, because City are one of the only teams that we're going to play multiple times.
Exactly, before the final.
So if anything, City will be the best prepared to play us to date.
Good point.
So it's an interesting development in that sense. But I'd argue the other way around as well, that Tuchel's played Pep many times before, and given the fact that we were able to get a result against Pep for the first time for Tuchel as a manager, would probably give Tuchel confidence in Chelsea as a club as well, and as a squad.
So there's benefit to both managers will see benefit to having played each other at least twice before the final.
Yes, it works both ways. I just think that Tuchel, now that we've actually got him a result versus Pep, finally, he'd never got one against Pep before, even though he had faced Pep 5 times before. So just the fact that we on the first outing have gotten him a result, I think will give him confidence to go and do it. Maybe try to equalize that ratio of wins versus losses or draws with Pep. So if he can get 3 wins against Pep in their all-time charts, maybe I can see Tuchel being up for that. I can see that.
I mean, it will be a huge psychological blow to Pep and his team. That means they'd have to play catch up next season. Even though they're going to win, they're most definitely going to win the league. No matter, it's difficult for them not to win it. So if we should win, if we win the game tomorrow and then beat them in the final, it's a psychological blow going into next season.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But I feel like we're in that mindset right now where we are actually
for
better.
Both sides, there aren't. Go ahead. You were saying something.
I was just going to say that we are in that mindset where for us, every game is almost like an elimination game right now. Whereas for them, they're kind of sitting pretty at the top of the table, and everything's gravy at this point. So I would say that from a mindset, we probably have the edge, because we need the results more. We need the validation more. We need it all more. Yes, there is obviously the Champions League has a different motivation for Man City right now, because they've never been to a final and they want to win it Pep hasn't won in a long time, although I think he might have reached the final with Bayern, but didn't win it. He didn't reach the final with the PSG, and sorry, no, not PS. Where was Pep before?
Pep was
Bayern.
Bayern before he came to Chelsea, before he came to
Man City.
City.
Sorry,
Yes.
I'm mixing up Tuchel with him. But the the fact remains that we are Chelsea, and we exist to be spoilers. And if for nothing, no other reason, we will go out there and beat Pep and his team just for the sake of beating Pep and his team. Come that final.
Yes, I agree. I definitely do agree. I think when you were answering that question, something interesting came to mind. Just something I picked from you, the answer you were given is Man City haven't won that trophy before. We won it the first time in 2012, and also we have a manager who came close to winning it winning the last edition, with also a player and a leader at the back also came close to winning it when they were together at PSG. So now it's natural with humans, when you get a second opportunity, you hardly fails as a human being. So which of the teams do you think will be more motivated
Listen, I'm not going
to go win it? Because usually history repeats. We've won it before, and they haven't won it before, and they will be motivated to win it for the first time, and we'll be motivated to win it for the second time. And then we have two individuals, the manager and Thiago Silva, who came close to winning the last edition, but unfortunately they lost to Bayern in the final. Which of the teams do you think will be more motivated to go win it?
Listen, conventional wisdom would dictate that Man City are the favorites. They have the experience in their players who have been winning for multiple seasons, multiple years now. I was surprised to see that Man City, since they've been with the current owners, might have had more league titles than Chelsea have. So that's
in recent years, yeah.
That to me was a bit of a shock in realization. Primarily because I don't care how many titles they have. I'm not counting their titles, so I just hadn't bothered to check. But I know they've been dominating. But it also was a wake-up call suddenly that our club's kind of the sleeping giant. We just went to sleep for 7 years or 6 years. We won, fair enough, we won the Premier League twice after our Champions League victory, and we won the Europa League. But the Europa League was more a consolation trophy. We don't want to be winning Europa Leagues. You want to be competing in the Champions League. And then we kind of fell off the horse both times after winning the league. So it's almost like it's time that Chelsea stood up to be counted again. So we have, from a club perspective, we have a duty to set the record straight again that, yes, you're Man City, but we are Chelsea. And we are here, and we're back, and we're starting something new. And that's something that's scary, that while we're competing with Man City, we are the young team. We're the team with no experience, whereas they have all the experience. They have the best manager in the world. They have players that are in their prime right now. Most of their team is playing in their prime. For us, we can hardly say that. Some of our players are past their prime. Some of our players are before their prime. You get the feeling that they will be in their primes in the coming 1, 2, 3 years. So they're just at the cusp of entering that phase in their careers. Very few players we can say right now are at the peak of their powers in our team. So for us as a group, it's an interesting challenge for all these separate backgrounds to come together to try to match up and be counted against the standard in world football right now, which is Manchester City. City being in the final does not surprise anybody. Chelsea being in the final is the surprise. But I feel that it's not a surprise for people that have been following Chelsea since Tuchel took over, because the way we played Real Madrid is the same way we played Porto, is the same way we played Atleti, is the same way we've been playing our Premier League oppositions. West Brom aside, different story. But this is how we're playing. This is the system we're playing. We're seeing a continuation of philosophy, and we're seeing a maturity in that system that we're playing growing as we're going from match day to match day, where we're getting more comfortable in this new setup of tactics, where we're seeing that we're actually making slight tweaks to our system, where we're still back three. We are trying different things and still getting results. Whether it's playing with three in the middle, or having a one-man pivot and then having extra support in midfield from the attacking players. Whether we're playing Callum Hudson on as the wing back, or we're playing Reece James as the wing back, or we're playing Azpilicueta as the wing back. We're mixing it up. We're mixing it up, so we're getting to this level of comfort with this system, where I would argue that we're in our system, we're in a mature phase, regardless of the background of our players versus the Man City players. So it gives me confidence. It gives me confidence to face Manchester City or anybody else right now. It's because it's not we don't play our oppositions. Yes, tactically we play our oppositions in terms of, okay, we have to be wary of Benzema getting on the ball anywhere near goal, and we have to be wary of Phil Foden making a run toward goal with the ball, or we have to be wary of Kevin De Bruyne lining up a shot from 40 yards. Yes, those tactics are always going to be there, but the system we play is a high energy, high press, high counter press, get possession back system as soon as possible, as high up the field as possible. Actually, not as high up the field. We're actually, compared to under Lampard, we press slightly deeper now. With Lampard, we used to go all out, go all the way to their goal, and then sometimes we would get caught out by that, and we'd have gaps in the middle, and we'd have them counter attacking us. Nowadays, I think that while we press with a little bit of more measure. Where yesterday, even when we were playing, the day before when we were playing Real Madrid, we were pressing them, but we were almost checking our press, where we weren't pressing all the time. We were kind of hovering for them to come at us a little bit, and then we would start pressing again. So it's little tweaks like that I think will always be there from a opposition tactics perspective for the coach to figure out. But I think that the system we play is our strength, and that's coming from our manager directly, and that's what's setting us apart. That we play with the ball, and when we're playing with the ball, it doesn't matter who the other team is, because they don't have the ball. And that's the brilliance of this system, that it almost negates who we're playing against. We just need to be on our game. And it almost, as a extension of that statement, that the other team's job becomes not to let us play our game. Do you see Pep as the kind of player that would actually say, forget how we play, let's just make sure that Chelsea doesn't play their game? I think Pep has too much of an ego to actually stoop to that level and say that, you know what, we're okay playing without the ball, we're just going to go kick everybody. I can understand them resorting to dark arts and feigning injuries and falling over in the D, stuff like that. That I don't put beyond them, but I don't see them completely changing how they play their game just to make sure we don't play ours. That's going to be an interesting test, whether Pep is willing to make his champions, quote unquote, Premier League de facto champions, change how they're playing their game, just to try to see if they can mess up our rhythm. It's going to be an interesting contest.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. The good thing is that we like we've established before, we have a very big squad. Whoever starts will do well, and I prefer winning tomorrow, but we won the Champions League. But I also take us beating them tomorrow, and also beating them in the final. It will be great for us going into the next season, and it will give the boys huge confidence. For beating Madrid alone is huge, and that will go a long way in the growth of the boys as players. I sincerely do look forward to the game tomorrow, although it will not be easy to watch. I have to be honest. I'm a very nervous person in terms of watching games, but sometimes I just have to sit through it no matter what's going on, because of my love for the game, and I like to analyze and see, okay, what happened, where things go wrong, and okay, how did we get it right? So in terms of, let's talk about the game tomorrow again. In terms of injuries, both teams have fewer injury concerns. Man City actually don't have any injury concerns at this. Stones who's suspended for a red card. On our side, Kovacic, I don't know if he's back in training yet, but I don't think he starts tomorrow no matter what. It'd be too risky to start him, so that we don't want to have an injury setback, So I'll start from you, Mikael. Who would you start tomorrow? What player would you start and why?
Oh man, I was dreading that question because here's the thing. It's an interesting question because who we start depends on what we want to do in terms of what we just spoke about. Are we going to just try to get a draw?
If we want to win, I mean, if we're playing it like it's just a normal league game, and we're not even thinking about the final, which is very difficult to do, because that's the whole thing. As long as the moment we beat Real Madrid in the semifinals, the whole focus became the occasion in Istanbul. No matter what so they're already calling it the rehearsal before the big event. So if we want to win tomorrow, who would you start? Who would you select and why?
Again, I would have to still make a caveat. Are we trying to win with a rotation, or are we trying to just field our strongest informed team? Because the lineups would be different. I would say both would be lined up to win, but if we're rotating some players, it would look different slightly, for sure. So assuming that we don't want to rotate anybody, I would pretty much start the lineup that we did against Real Madrid. Maybe stick, maybe because Rudiger's got some facial injury right now that he's nursing. Maybe rest him. Maybe play Reece James as wingback instead of Aspi. Maybe have Aspi drop back instead into the center back as a right center back. I would still have to say that we would, given this presumption that we're trying to win, I would say that both Jorginho and Kante will have to play. Both of them would have to start. Jorginho and Kante both would have to start. If we're trying to put a strong showing tomorrow, both would. We can't rest either of them. We can maybe take them off, one of them, if we feel like the game's at a point where we can do that. But I would have to say we would have to start both Jorginho and Kante in the pivot. So that said, that brings us to what are the specific positions. So if the back three is looking like Aspi on the right, center would be Thiago Silva or Anderson Christensen. It could be Christensen. And then on the left, we could put Zuma or we could put Rudiger, depending on if you want to play Rudiger. I wouldn't. So in my book, it would be probably Zuma. So Aspi, Christensen, and Zuma would be my back three. I would, interestingly, actually try to play Kepa in this game. I wouldn't mind playing Kepa in this game.
Why Kepa? Because there's still the FA Cup final that he's most definitely going to start.
Okay, if you're starting Kepa in the FA Cup final, I wouldn't have. But if we're starting Kepa in the FA Cup final, then I'm okay with not starting Kepa and continuing with Mendy. I was thinking that this was going to be Kepa's only big game. Well, not big game, but only immediate game. I would hope that we play Mendy in the final. I can see the argument for playing Kepa in the final, but I would like to see, for my own selfish reasons, I would like to see Mendy play.
But I don't see that happening because he's always been the keeper for FA Cup, and I think Tuchel is going to let him finish it.
Would be fair. I can't argue. So in that case,
if you ask me, yeah, go ahead.
No, I would agree with you. In that case, if you've already given the final of the FA Cup to Kepa, then I'm with you. Mendy should be starting tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, I'm not talking about tomorrow. I would not start him tomorrow. I'm talking about the FA Cup final. Well, we're saying the same thing actually, right? Kepa starts for the FA Cup final, right? And Mendy starts tomorrow, right? So we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm agreeing with you in that scenario. I was thinking
and the reason for FA Cup, and Mendy also will be the guy to face City in the UEFA Champions League Final. So it's good for him to start tomorrow.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
100%. That makes sense as well. He can get used to their runs. He can get used to how they shoot.
yes,
That will help him with his placement in goal, in front of goal, for the next game versus Man City as well. So okay,
yeah,
I,
and we can't say we want to rest him because the goalkeeper put the outfield players.
do you agree
Yeah,
with
go
the
ahead. You
do you agree
go
with
ahead.
do you agree with the proposed backline at least?
Yeah, you said Thiago Silva in the middle. I don't. I think he needs to get as much rest as possible because of his age. I mean, you can start if you bring him back as Pliqueta to the right center back out of the three, then
So I was going for Christensen
you
in the
want to
middle.
start. He's still younger. He can still play those two games and still be fit enough to play in the UEFA Champions League final. So that's my idea. Except if you want to have the back three the same way you want to have them, you want to have it on the on the day for the UEFA Champions League final, which I don't see happening. Nobody wants the both coaches, like we've established, don't want each. Are not going to that is show you their hands, show you okay, this is what I'm going to do in the final. So I don't see.
I agree. No, I actually said that in my
I don't
mind.
yeah. Or if it's up to me to pick the 11, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that I had said the same thing, that I would actually start Christensen in the middle of the back three, and
Oh, and
Zuma,
not Silver.
and
Okay.
not Silva, because I think Silva needs to be rested too. That
Yes.
said, if we're also not playing Rudiger, then there is an argument to keep playing Silva as well, just to give that leadership in the back three and a little bit of poise in the back three. Either way, I'm comfortable. Whether we do Zuma, Christensen, Aspi, or we do Zuma, Thiago Silva, Aspi, I'm okay with that as well. I'm also okay with Anderson, Christensen, Silva, and Aspi in the back. So to me, they can rotate right now at this point in the season. I think they have enough understanding that we can take one or two pieces out, and I don't think we're
And
diminished.
pair them.
Yeah, I don't think we're diminished that much. Um, would you if you're playing Aspi in the center back position, are you okay with Reece James starting, or would you push for Callum to start?
For tomorrow's game, I think they both can start. Just the way we approach the spots, the Tottenham game. They both started the game, right? However, Cho Hudson-Odoi played in the position of the 2 10s against Sports. That was what he did in that game.
Yes, he was
I don't know
higher
if
up.
you recall the game.
He
Yeah,
was
higher
higher up.
up. That's yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think they both can start tomorrow because they will be My City usually, no matter the game, they don't change their approach. There will always be a high line. There will always be space in behind. You just have to find a way to exploit it, to cause them damages. So I think yeah, they both can start out, and I see them starting. I see it happening actually tomorrow, except again, wouldn't want to show his hand tomorrow. He might want to. We don't know. He's never ceased to surprise people in terms of his lineup. That's the truth, And I see Alonso starting tomorrow. If you ask me for the left wing back, and go ahead, it's your lineup. You were the one that was making the lineup. I don't want to take it away from you.
No. So here's the thing. I haven't talked about this before you posed the question either that much. I did think about generally that they would be, depending on what we're trying to get from the game, there would be a different look to the team. But I'm open to
Yes.
the discussion. I think that what you're saying makes sense. If we have Aspi in the center back position and Reece James in the wing back position, then I have no issues with Callum Hudson-Odoi starting as our right winger. In
Yes,
that
or
scenario,
even one of the two number 10s. It depends on how they're lined
yeah,
up.
I mean he can play on the inside channel as a 10, behind the striker or or conversely, if it's a false nine situation, just drift in and out of that position as needed. It would work. It would work because we have the protection on the right side behind him to deal with whatever
Yes.
happens, regardless. So that's an interesting case, and I think that he would give them problems as well. If Callum Hudson-Odoi is somewhere in that area on the right side of the
Yeah.
pitch, we would have a threat. If we're
And he
starting,
has a very good chemistry with James.
the only question becomes is that where do you play Ziyech then? Because I'm thinking this is a game primed for Ziyech as well. Do we play
That's
him?
a good point.
Do we play him as the second 10? In that case, we're not playing Werner at all.
Yeah.
So it becomes interesting.
So it's a difficult call.
And that kind of sort of almost, but by saying that, we're almost pushing Callum to the bench again because we do want to see Werner playing, probably.
Yes.
Just to kind of keep them guessing and stretch their back line. Because I'm seeing that regardless of all the criticism that Werner gets, he does have this threat because of his pace that he will somehow run in behind, and he keeps oppositions in two minds. And if they're taking liberties with him, he will make them pay right away. It doesn't take him long to make a run towards goal. You can argue about the end ball, the final ball, and the end result or whatnot, but the fact remains is that he does get in behind. And if you don't play him, it's almost like they can take a deep breath and relax. That okay, at least we're not facing Werner. So I would say that probably Werner has to start if we're chasing a result tomorrow, just to kind of stretch the game on the left side of the field.
So in that case, Hudson-Odoi would have to drop back to the bench. So James, right wing back. Who would you put on the left? So let's start from where we haven't selected the left wing back, right? Who would you start as the left wing back?
So here's the thing. We have Pulisic, Ziyech, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Mason Mount.
We've established. Go ahead, yeah.
Havertz, Werner. I've counted 6 players, and we have 3 spots. so whatever we do, 3 of them are not going to be happy. So
yeah.
So I guess,
good point.
So I guess if we take the stance that we're rotating a little bit without rotating too much, I would say that we are still playing Havertz as a false 9. And I would say that we are playing Mount somewhere. So Mount would play as a 10, floating
because
in and out.
He's definitely going to start.
Mount has to start, 100%.
Yeah, he has to start. And the truth is, Pulisic also, I see him starting tomorrow. So let's start from the back again. At the back, we agree Thiago Silva will probably be rested. Yes. So Christensen starts in the middle of the three central defenders, and Zuma to the left of Christensen, and then right wing back, let's say what's his name again, Reece James. Left wing back, Alonso. I can see Alonso starting tomorrow, and then the double pivot, we say Kante and Jorginho, right?
Yes.
Okay, now we have a problem now. Okay, the front 3, that's where the issue is. So I think Havertz starts tomorrow. Havertz, Pulisic starts, and then Mount definitely. But he may decide to rest Mount tomorrow.
Why?
Yeah. I think Mount is going to start on the bench tomorrow just for the sake of resting him. It's not like... So I think he might start on the bench tomorrow. He might surprise everyone.
Okay. That makes
I'm not sure on the bench tomorrow, so he rests.
That makes sense. So in theory, we can start Pulisic. And
Pulisic. Go ahead.
And we can either start Werner with him, or we can play Pulisic as the left winger and play Callum or Ziyech as the right winger. or number 10 or whatever you want to call that.
And who
Right.
has the four? Okay, Havertz has the false nine.
Havertz as the false nine. So that
Yeah, I
actually
think.
opens it up then. Yes.
Yeah, I think that those guys can start
I think we can chase a result.
because they're starting Mount every game. By
Fully.
the time we get to the finals of the UEFA Champions League, he's burned out, and that's not going to be good. Or gets injured, then we're in trouble, you know. So yeah, I think that's a good selection there, and I'm going to do with that. And again, Mikael, I'm so happy that you found the time to help me get started with a match preview, and that will give me confidence to also, I'd be able to do the next one alone, but it's always fun to have somebody that you can have discussions with that as a conversation. So you have an opposing perspective or have some measure of argument because it helps. It's not just my own opinion,
I love that, man. Thank you for having me. And
thank you very much. Thank you very much. But I will always call on you if I need support because your insights and your knowledge of the game, it's amazing. It's amazing. Thank you very
much.
much.
You with the preparation. I enjoyed being a part of this, and it's always nice to see new Chelsea content creators becoming regular in the content that they produce. So it has to start somewhere, and I see that Chelsea Perspective has been starting a regular video almost weekly now. So I'm excited to be a part of the process, and I look forward to your insights because I do feel that you bring slightly different perspective, and
Yes.
it's always fresh, and it's not regurgitating the same. That's another thing that I like is that a lot of the big content creators almost end up regurgitating the same views, the same narrative. So it's always nice to see fresh perspective, and you're bringing it. So power to you. Long may it continue, man.
Thank you, Mikael. I appreciate that. And hopefully I see you soon because I'll be hosting a live stream in a day or two. And I appreciate it if you can also find time to be part of it. And I know the time difference right now, so I'll probably as I schedule it, I'll try the best I can to accommodate you. The time at Twitch, I believe you'll be free.
There's so many time zones for the Chelsea fan base from North America to Australia and every place in between. We all do our best to participate as much as we can. Just be patient with the ones that cannot participate, all the time. So we all step up when we can. So for
Thank
sure,
you,
if we can make it, we'll be there 100%.
Thank you, Mikael. And I look forward to see you again, my friend. All right, cheers.
Come on, you Blues. Let's go get the 3 points.
Yes, come on, you Blues. Thank you, bro.